Welcome back, guys, to yet another World of Warcraft video on this channel. Today we are going to talk about basically how I've made all of my gold so far. And I know it seems like a little bit of a clickbait title, but I promise it isn't. Well, I mean, it kind of is clickbait, but not in the actual sense of the word, because it's actual true information. So I hope that makes sense. But I'll be talking about a little bit about my process, what I've sold, what I am planning on doing for the future as well, just as an overall update video, but also just to so you guys can see or maybe get some ideas, and also so we can get a conversation started down in the comments below. But before we do get into it, I want to make sure to thank all the patrons over on Patreon, because they've been supporting me greatly. This list literally fills out the entire screen. Like, you can barely even see me anymore. And I appreciate it very, very much. Specifically, guys, if you're interested in some extra benefits by supporting me a little more, there are some options. For example, on something like the tier 2, where you can get TSM groups, you can get sniping lists for point blank sniper for auctionator, and a document full of daily gold making activities for an alt army. And if that sounds interesting, make sure you check it out. And they're all updated for Dragonflight, and I'm continuously putting more updates on it. Yeah, go check it out. But let's get into the video. Obviously, for the people that have been following along over on twitch.tv/Sansaful, where I stream all weekdays, mostly very, very long time since very long stream time since Dragonflight came out. I've already talked a lot about the ways that I've been making gold, but also showed a lot of the ways. But you guys over here on YouTube have not seen it, which is why I'm making this video. So as a overall thing, I am really only using one character at the moment. I have Tailoring and I have Enchanting. Now, Enchanting, I actually did make a good amount of gold on Enchanting early on. If we're looking through here, by the way, if you want to see how broken my TSM is, since the expansion launched, okay, we have, it says we've spent 154 million and we have earned back 105. But I can tell you guys right now that we have 26 million here on Terran Mill. I have more gold elsewhere on other servers. But on Terran Mill, when this expansion started, I had 2 mil, right? So if this data was correct, I would currently be, 50 million in the red, which obviously isn't possible. And to put it easily, so you guys can understand, there's a lot of sales data and also buy data that I've missed. I would think that I'm somewhere between 150 million and 200 million in sales, because there's also some of the buy data that's bugged out. So maybe it's a little more, maybe it's a little less. It's kind of hard to figure out. But yeah, we have moved around a lot of gold, but that's basically to put it nicely like that. But for the enchants, okay, we did make a lot of gold on enchants early on. As you can see, we haven't really sold any crafted enchants since the first couple of days. Now, I basically early on, I wanted to do a disenchanting build, which is what I've done. It's very easy to set up, by the way. It's only 10 points into Inside of the Blue, then 40 points into Draconic Disenchantment. That's all you need for a shuffling build or a disenchanting build. But I realized very early on that if I put all of my energy into tailoring, I could make millions and millions and millions of gold. So that's what I did, okay? So far in tailoring, I maxed it out. I have very, very good profession gear, and I'm up to 190 knowledge points. Now, the way that I did that was, I'll get to all the gold after. The way that I got to 190 knowledge points is I did all the weekly content, I did all the one-time collectibles, but I also farmed an enormous amount of renown. I've been Dragon Scale 25 for over a week now, farming treasures. I've also been Veldrak and a quarter 23 for, half a week now. So I used a lot of time on farming renown to get ahead of everyone else, to get into specific markets that I'm actually going to be talking about a little bit here. So one of the things that I have been actively making a ton of gold on has been not only Unraveling, but it has also been Woven Cloth. Now, where my focus has been on Inferior's Wilder Club bolts and also Vibrant Wilder Club bolts. Because of the setup that I have and the maxed out points that I have the absolute best setup for crafting materials and enhancements. So I'm crafting these at the highest possible level with the cheapest amount of materials, which is really, really good. So that is something I've been making gold on. Sadly, as you can see, it's not recording the sales. It's recording some of them on rank 2s, but I've sold over, probably over 100,000 of these at rank 3 now, which is really, really sad that it doesn't record that, but it is what it is. Another thing I've been making a ton of gold on is blue silken linings. These are great. It's a recipe that you can pick up from the Cobalt Assembly, like 3 or 4 free levels into it. It only takes a couple hours to farm it, but again, you also need a lot of knowledge points to get up to where I am. I'm not going to go in depth into how to set these up. I'm only going to talk to you guys about what I've been making gold on, and all the in-depth stuff can come later if you guys are wondering about it, or if I make some more videos that will explain the processes. So that is something I've been making a ton of gold on. Another thing that we have been making quite a lot of gold on is the bag market, okay? So specifically, we got into a Shearweave expedition packs very early on. You can see we've sold 572 of these for an average of 12.2k. And the early days of crafting these, we were actually crafting them for like 7k or 6k, so the profit on these is quite great. Even now it is a little bit more expensive to make them, but they have also gone up in price to like 15-16k, so that is obviously great. Very recently we got Chronocloth reagent bags, and they are quite expensive to make, but you can see so far for the last couple of days we've actually been able to sell 31 of these, maybe a little more because I haven't looted all of my gold. But again, these cost 6 Chronocloth bags to make, and based on the crafting price, it's like a 7 to 10k profit as well. So this is another great thing. But definitely, and I mean definitely, where the vast majority of the gold that we've been making is in Unraveling and Vibrant Wilderclaw bolts. So because of the profession stats, this is very easy. A lot of people buy this to craft a lot of the crafted gear and a bunch of other things. Also for the daily crafting cooldown it's used, but especially for the higher level crafted gear, right? Some of this stuff might need it, and some other crafts as well. But to put it lightly, this has a lot of different uses in tailoring, which is why people buy a whole lot of it. It's also very hard to make at rank 3 for a lot of people if they haven't put a lot of energy into the profession. And in Furious Watercloth bolts, these are PvP bolts, really, for PvP gear. There's the green gear here that people are crafting, but there's also the higher levels, which would be something like this. Furious gear, right, where it's used, you can see you use 16 bolts here. So it's quite a lot of stuff that people are buying up. And the other reason why it's so great is because commodities or stackable items are basically regional, right? So you can sell this to the entirety of your region, not only to your realm, but to everyone, which is why it's been greater than ever. Now, Unraveling is something that I made a ton of gold on very early on because I got into it early, seemingly also before a lot of other people got into it. And the basis of how Unraveling works is you take wilder cloth, any type of wilder cloth, and you turn it into spools of wilder thread, or in some cases, rousing. So with singed wilder cloth, you make that into rousing fire and spools of wilder thread. With decayed wilder cloth, you make it into rousing decay. And there's frostbitten wilder cloth that you can turn into rousing frost. So with the spools of wilder thread and getting some of the rousing materials as well, there was a great shuffling opportunity in buying up those cloth and making a profit on doing the crafts that took a hell of a long time, right? And that is something that I've been making tons of gold on. Hopefully, I know it doesn't have all of them, but if we look at Awakened Frost, for example, you guys can get an idea. I have sold 119,000 Awakened Frost for a total of 29 million, which is crazy. And then there's also Rousing Frost here. We'll see 648,000 for another 14.2 million. And if we look into it for Frostbitten here, Frostbitten Wilderclaw, you can see that I have bought 3.8 million Frostbitten Wilderclaw for 32 million. So if you're looking at it like that, and we're saying, okay, well, 32 million on Frostbitten Wildercloth that we turned into Awakened Frost. By itself, Awakened Frost right here, 37 million. That's already a 5 million profit. And then on top of that, we have the Rousing Frost, 14 million. Oh, 19 million profit, right? And then on top of that, there's also the Spools of Wilder Thread. But I do want to say with the Wilder Thread that this particularly I've been selling a lot of, especially recently, but that is also on top of a lot of other stuff. Okay, so it's not only from that, and it's also smaller amounts. But yeah, I mean, alone on Rousing, I've made 19 million gold. And if you guys want to talk more about that, just drop your questions down in the comments below, or make sure you hop on over to the Twitch channel to check it out and hear a little bit about it. And we have also been flipping things, but that's a little bit, you know, it's a little tougher to actually talk about. But yeah, bags have been doing great. And we've been all over the place. Actually, Blue Silken Lining. This is something that's a little annoying because I've sold way more than you can see here. But very recently, it's been starting to actually count all the rank 3 stuff. It didn't do this early on, but you can see already here 5.1 million in sales on these guys. And it's a lot more than this, don't get me wrong. There's probably like 1,000 of these that I haven't gotten any sales on. At rank 3, I think at least there's a lot of them, especially, 20, 30, even 50k. Very early on, as you can see here, you see one right there at 71k. Very early on, the first couple of days, the rank 3s would sell from 50 to 75k all day long. And I was making tons of gold on it. Nothing was getting recorded. It was very sad. But again, that is another thing. So you guys can see right here, I put basically like a vast majority of my energy was put into tailoring, and it has paid off greatly. And it basically goes to show that you can use all of your energy on one profession if you want and make quite a lot of gold with it in this expansion. You don't really have to spread out a lot, which is something that I actually really like. You can if you want to, and then you also have to spread out, the what you craft, and you can't expect to get ahead of everyone else like I did, obviously, if you're focusing on a bunch of different things. But it all kind of depends on what kind of a build that you want to do. There's a lot of intricate things when it comes to the profession systems in Dragonflight, and we're still figuring out, we're still learning to this day. So hey guys, if you have any questions, make sure that you drop them down in the comments below. And if you're wondering about a certain profession or certain ways to make gold, if you want any ideas, make sure you drop that as well. And if not, you can also hop over to the Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Sansaful. And by the time that this video is uploaded, then I might be live, because usually I post these videos before I go live, or during. So, you could get lucky if you're seeing it at that point, but if you're not, comment section. But I hope this video was at least helpful or insightful into showing you guys what I've been making gold on recently. And if we're looking at it from a perspective of how much gold I currently have in my bags and how much I started Dragonflight with, I am currently on Terran Mill alone. I'm currently 25 million up. Now, I will say, this is very important, I will say that I have 9.6 million posted on the auction house, right? So I'm probably 40 or 50 million up, I would say, also with all the materials that I have in my bank and all the stuff that I have stowed away, which is, it's looking pretty good so far. We'll see how far we get. And when we do get a little into more stable times, and when TSM starts recording sales properly, then I'll get back to posting weekly gold making videos as well, because it's a little easier when that actually is possible. Or we might start holding on to all of our sales from every week, but we'll see. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know it was just more of like a talkative thing, or going through what I've done. I have done a little more than this, but obviously that is not as important as the major things that we talked about. But I hope that this was at least a little helpful for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. And until the next one, see you guys.